Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 6. Yajavitva Ashwamedastvam Tribir Uttama Kalpakai Tadyasha Pavanam Dikshu Shatamanyor Ivatanot Yajayitva Ashwamedastvam Tribhir Uttama Kalpakai Tadyasha Pavanam Dikshu Shatamanyor Ivatanot. Anyone wants to read? Yajayitva Ashwamedhaistvam Tribhir Uttama Kalpakai Sham Pavanam Dikshu Shatamanyor Ivatanot. Yajayitva Yashvamedhastvam Tribhir Uttama Kalpakai Tadyasha Pavanam Dikshu Shatamanyor Ivatanot. Yajayitva Shvamedhastvam Tribhir Uttama Kalpakair Tadyasha Pavanam Dikshu Shatamanyor Ivatanot. Anyone else? Okay. The transliteration. Yajayitva, by performing. Ashwamedhai, yajna in which a horse is sacrificed. Tam, him, King Yudhishthira. Tribihi, three. Uttama, best. Kalpakai, supplied with proper ingredients and performed by able priests. Tat, that. Yashaha, fame. Pavanam, virtuous. Dikshu, all directions. Shatamanyo, Indra, who performed 100 such sacrifices. Iva, like. Atanot, spread. Translation. Lord Sri Krishna caused 3 well-performed Ashwamedha Yajnas, or sacrifices, to be conducted by Maharaj Yudhishthira, and thus caused his virtuous fame to be glorified in all directions, like that of Indra, who performed 100 such sacrifices. Purport. This is something like the preface to the performances of Ashwamedha Yajna by Maharaj Yudhishthira. The comparison of Maharaj Yudhishthira to the king of heaven, Indra, is significant. The king of Indra is thousands and thousands of times greater than Maharaja Yudhishthira in opulence. Yet the fame of Maharaja Yudhishthira was not less. The reason is that Maharaj Yudhishthira was a pure devotee of the Lord, and by his grace only was King Yudhishthira on the level of King Indra, even though he performed only 3 yajnas, whereas the king of heaven performed hundreds. That is the prerogative of the devotee of the Lord. The Lord is equal to everyone, but the devotee of the Lord is more glorified because he is always in touch with all the great. The sun rays are equally distributed, but still there are some places which are always dark. This is not due to the sun, but due to the receptive power. Similarly, those who are cent percent devotees of the Lord get full fledged mercy of the Lord, who is always equally distributed everywhere. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yenam Tasmai Shri Guruvaya Namaha. So, as we see in this shloka, that Lord Krishna, of course, after Yudhishthira has conquered and won the war, he makes Yudhishthira perform three Ashwamedha sacrifices. Obviously, in those days, it was the customary of a Raja or a king that to actually perform Ashwamedha sacrifice, which is the horse sacrifice, where they actually invoke the devatas, they do yagyas, and they actually let the horse roam freely into around the world. Today, as we know, in Kali Yuga, Bharata Varsha is shrinking and continues to shrink and continue divided more and more. But there was a time where Bharata Varsha was this whole universe. So when Yudhishthira won, they actually allow the horse, even in Lord Rama's time, they allowed the horse to go freely. The horse is allowed in such a way that it can roam wherever it wants without any hindrance. And when it goes into a territory, the king or whoever is there has to subject or to the will of the person who's performing the sacrifice. The performance of the sacrifice, though may look material, actually is also quite spiritually infused by the Vedic mantras, because it is not that the horse is considered. As we know, Bhagavan has also taken avataram as a horse, right, to protect the Vedas. So this is the reason why the horse is used as an animal, not any other animal actually. Cow cannot be used because cow is a mother. So there are certain reasons, I mean, without getting into too much detail, but there are reasons as to why our Vedas have answer and actually question why have certain things are done. It is just that over Kali Yuga, certain things have gone away. One important, I know yesterday was Bhagavad Gita Jayanti and Mokshada Ekadasi, but the one slokam which we can draw parallel onto this slokam is in Bhagavad Gita chapter 10.9, which is Machitta Madgata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Kathayantasya Mam Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. So Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita, right, that the thoughts of my pure devotees always dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to me and they derive great satisfaction and bliss and always enlightening one another and conversing about me. As we say in Nectar of Instruction, right? Talking about satsangam, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, right? Nam Nam Akari Baudha. So chanting his glories and sharing that glories, the Bhagavatas of Bhagavan Sri Krishna are always rejoicing in his beauty. So Bhagavan explains that the creeper of devotional service, as in Bhagavad Gita, because first slokam in 10.8 in Bhagavad Gita, he says, um, the slokam previously is, if I were to remember, Sabhavam mata sarvam pravarte iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samita, that I am supreme, I am the one. But then he describes about his Bhagavata, that I am actually always constantly thinking about them. And what is the aspect of creeper of devotional service? Because when we chant Bhagwan's name, purification comes to us, anartha nivriti goes away actually, and only by that we realize his beauty. And only when that Bhagavan realizes, actually, it is very wonderfully Prabhupada has written that he says the Lord is equal to everyone, but actually the Lord is more glorified. Actually, he becomes even greater than Bhagavan himself. Actually, that is how to be understood. That is why Vaishnava is considered very. Uh, it's like what do you say? A gem which will always shine. A diamond can always shine and will never lose its luster. Just as Bhagavan, of course, one should understand that Bhagavan, everything is coming from Krishna only, but he is the source, but he gives credit to his devotee. So that's why even the devotee shines always like a diamond. But of course, to become like a diamond, we have, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say, Cheto Darpanam Arjanam Bhavamadavagni Nirvapanam. When we uncover this covering of Maya and our karma has to be shed, then the quality is shown actually of what a true Bhagavata is. And we have many, many examples of acharyas, whether it's Prabhupada and many other devotees, stalwart devotees who have lived and exemplified what a Bhagavata is. And that is why Bhagavan says that worshipping my devotee is greater than me. That's why he says Machita Madgata Prana, that I am constantly thinking about them. So that's why Bhagavan says that Name Bhakta Pranashyati. Boldly declare Arjuna, he says in Bhagavad Gita, as we read yesterday, my devotee will never perish. Actually, yes, due to our karma, we may go through different aspects, but Bhagavan never abandons his devotee if surrendered once. That is what we should understand. So surrender to Bhagavan also means surrendered. It's okay initially, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that Chatur Vidha Bhajante Ma, that people, four kinds of people will come to me. After all, it doesn't matter you pray to Bhagavan for uh, distress or misery or material advancement. He is the Father. Everything has to come from him. I mean, it's okay, there are other people or devatas or demigods who are in charge of certain things. We shouldn't disrespect. One thing I've always said in classes, yes, we pay to Bhagavan Krishna, but we shouldn't disrespect. Like even here, we should see this. Though Yudhishthira is a great devotee of Lord Krishna, but he never disrespects Lord Indra. That is one aspect we should understand as Bhagavata. That, and this again, if we were to relate everything as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, is Tranadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishnuna. Maharaj Yudhishthira shows it very, very magnanimously how one should be humble actually. That he even welcomes everyone. And disrespect should not just be in my first is thought itself should not come. Because if thought is there, then it will show in action and word. So of course, by chanting Bhagavan's name is how actually we should purify ourselves. So this is a wonderful shloka which actually explains about how Bhagavan always thinks of this. And other thing is actually which Bhagavan says, right, that in Bhagavad Gita is Tesham Jnani Nityuktatma Eka Bhaktir Vishishyate Priyohi Jnanino Atyartam Aham Sacham Mama Priyaha. He says, of those, one who are in full knowledge of me and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. I am very dear to him and he is very dear to me actually. Bhagavan has actually, Krishna has given multiple times, not just as Lord Krishna, even his other avatarams he has come. He has always given assurances to Bhagavatas or devotees that my devotee never perishes. He is always dear to me. I am always protecting. It is only that we decide to kind of turn our face away, just like sometimes a child is unhappy with the parent, it will fight or it will turn away, but eventually it will come back. That is a simple material example we can give. So that is how it is actually. And just like that, the father or mother will never abandon. Same way, Bhagavan never abandons. Bhagavan never abandons. We think as human beings, actually he provides for everyone, in not in this world, in all three universes, in every jivatma, whether it be plant, bird, animal. If you think about it, we in humans, we have material suffering, but the animal who lives in the forest, it is completely, though its karma is different, but Bhagavan is providing some or the other something according to karma. So Bhagavan, we should say that never abandons actually anyone. Of course, according to karma, one has to go through, he says, and that's what he says in Bhagavad Gita. But that's how it is actually. So, of course, also another I would like to share is, so in also in other sampradayams actually, they have explained very nicely. There is a nice slokam in this month. So this is in Tamil. So one of the alvars in Tamil Nadu, she prays to Lord Krishna. She says that so she says Kivanam Velendra Enmeru Sirmiru. So I'll just translate it. So actually she awakens in the mornings, all the gopis, they waken up to actually churning the butter, where they milk the cows. So their thoughts are always engrossed in Lord Krishna. And actually she explains that how come is that before Lord Krishna was not there, but now when Krishna is there, the cows are actually giving even more milk. Actually, even in the morning, the gopis, not when they are going to herd, actually in the morning itself, when they are milking the cows, the gopis are seeing this. This is not the pastime I'm saying where Lord Krishna abducts, when Brahma comes. In the natural state itself, the cows are actually giving more milk itself, because they are so pleased that Bhagavan is present as himself. That love is overflowing. This is called, as you can see, if a cow can have experience of that much devotional service, we shouldn't not say cow, but we should actually aspire and even become better by chanting his name. So, of course, uh, cows in Vrindavana are not ordinary cows. We should say that they are all pious beings who have taken birth. So, we are not that pious and we should admit that. But at the same point, we should aspire to become like that. Our consciousness, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, that doesn't matter where we live, what we do, as he says, Machita Madgata Prana. So if we be like that, he will reside in us and we are residing in his mind always. So that should be the purification aspect of how we should conduct ourselves. Also, there is a nice pastime. Actually, I was reading and I wanted to share this. So, how Bhagavan's thoughts, as I read this slokam, that the stalwart devotee and Machita Madhvata Parana. So, as we know, Tukaram in Maharashtra was a great Bhagavata of Lord Krishna. And one amazing Leela or pastime is Tukaram, once he realized about Lord Krishna, he used to go to this Bhandara mountain every day 12-15 miles to walk up and meditate about Bhagavan and actually understand his scriptures. His wife Avali was very, very dedicated actually. And she was continuously every day, she has to, so dedicated that she used to go to the top of the mountain for 12 miles, carry all footsteps for him and come back and down. Now, of course, the traditional aspect is people say Avali was very, very hard hearted. She used to curse Krishna because but she was totally committed to her husband's interest. One should respect this. In today's world, we won't find both man or woman. It's very difficult to find like this. But we should understand that Tukaram was a great Bhagavata, and for his wife also to be his wife, she has to be done a lot of pious activity. One cannot be born as someone's a spiritual person's or an acharya's wife just for the sake of it. It is not some ordinary karma actually. So and she would also not even eat a morsel of food without serving him food or water. And every day she used to climb on top of the mountain, and this used to happen every single day. And so she was so agitated that about Lord Krishna that she used to say, I don't even want to see this dark face of Vithala. Vithala is what they used to call in Pandarpura Krishna. So they say, I don't want to see this dark face of Vithala. He has brought full pain to my family, ancestor, my wife, me, his children doesn't have any food to eat. Always in the evening, my husband will go dance in the temple and he'll come back. He will never associate with me. So this was her pain. But of course, Vithala or Krishna, we should say, was very perplexed about seeing Tukaram's wife like this. And Bhagavan said, okay, every day Tukaram goes to the mountain and sits there, and I will stop his trouble. Because obviously, it is not just trouble to him. His wife is also taking the pain every day to climb 12 miles up and down. In those days, there is no road, there is no car. I mean, so you can imagine the dedication of carrying everything and going back and forth actually. So one day, Avali was taking this food and water to the Bhandara hill. It was noon time, very, very painful, hot summer, and somehow she was walking. There was a large thorn, and she actually walked on the thorn and it pierced her, not a small one. Because of that, the pot she was carrying, it slipped and it fell and it broke. The water went away. The food also completely halfway fell, and blood was coming out. And she was in pain and she was crying. And she said, what am I supposed to do? She said, what is this enmity between This is just a thought of her praying. She, what is her enmity that between me? Why is Lord Vitala troubling me like this? Of course, because of my sacred vow for my husband, I am dedicated to him. So, but what am I supposed to do? And she was cursing. And she was saying, oh, if I say call, oh God, means, oh Vitala, he will, after all, who she has to call? She has to call means only he can come. Right? So she said, what am I supposed to do? So, but in spite of this, she said, okay, I will try to go through the suffering without grumbling. But she was in so much pain. Seeing this, Lord Vitala couldn't, he said, okay, enough. I don't think I can make her suffer anymore. So immediately she said, obviously Tukaram, his devotee, is starving on the hill because he is fully reliant on his wife for food. His wife cannot walk because such a big, she's completely halfway disabled. So immediately Lord Krishna manifested in front of her as himself in two-handed form, wearing his pitambaram, his kaustuba mani, his mukutam, his kridam, right? He completely came like this. And around his Vaijayanti mala, he wear it and he came. On his feet were little ankle bells. Bhagwan's feet has marks, auspicious marks of the conch, Sudarshan Chakra. When Avali saw this, of course, there are many songs which have sung to glorify the beauty of Bhagwan, but we can also say, though Bhagwan was in his Kaumaram, but Bhagwan always looks like that. So, even in Damodarashtakam, we sing rhyme, Idam te mukham boja matyanta nilair Vritam kuntalai snigdha raktaischa gopya Muhuschumbitam bimba raktadharam me Manasya virastam alam lakshalabe. So how beautiful Lord's cheeks are. Though he is always blackish blue, but always his cheeks are always like the bimba tree, kissed like that. That is his exquisite beauty actually. So when Avali saw this, she said, why has this enemy of my enemy come? That's how she thought. She said, all my misfortunes are everything. Now one can question, oh, how is this that Avali was not lover of Krishna, of Hari, but she's continuously cursing him. How come? Well, there is a difference. I know we say Ravana also thought of Krishna, but we shouldn't equate Avali to Ravana or Kamsa. I just want to clarify this. We should never equate like that. Her, her was for more out of compassion of suffering because her husband was suffering. Actually, Ravana and Kamsa, okay, there's a reason why they came as pastimes and everything. But at the same point, Avali was always thinking for the betterment of her husband and her family, and her prayer was always like that. So we shouldn't think in a negative way like that. It was fully negative. So she was determined. So obviously she said, I have no desire to see this enemy, but why is he still appearing in front of me? So Bhagavan Vithala said, somehow I have to make her love me. That itself shows how much Vithala likes her. He is personally come to make her fall in love with her. Why I am saying this is because sometimes people have thought that Tukaram is like this. Has Bhagavan come like this personally to make us fall in love with him? Yes, he is present in his name. Namna Makari Bahuda is the same. But there is a big difference to see Bhagavan in front and hear his voice. To see Bhagavan in their mortal form. That itself is beauty. Yes, Kalachandji is there, we know, but there is no difference between Archa Vigraha and Bhagavan. But just like this, maybe the best example I can tell to people in today's modern world is technology gives us to see video cam and video call. You can experience the person, but when you stand in front of the person and you touch them, it is different than a video call. That is the best example I can give to people. So obviously, Lord Vithala, he lovingly placed his caring hand on her shoulder and he said, my dear daughter, you call me enemy, but tell me what kind of enmity I have shown to you. Bhagavan says to him, this is a conversation. He says, like, oh, you think I've made your husband renunciate, but that's not the fact. Vithala says to Avali. He says, just like, when a tree, if we see a tree and the tree is ripened, at some point, the wind will come and it will fall and touch the ground. Similarly, Tukaram's he has fixed his name, his mind completely on my name and form, on my beauty, and then goes sits in a forest. My condition is also same as yours, he says. So see, Bhagavan is also experiencing separation from Tukaram. Actually, he is telling. Though he is always present in his name, but how Bhagavan himself is feeling separation from his Bhagavata is what Vithala is telling actually. So then he says, see, I am always following after him. Just like Avali is following after Tukaram, Bhagavan Vithala is also always following after Tukaram actually. Always going after him. Wherever he is going, he is going. That is why he says, Machita Madgata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam. I mean, if you say Bhagavad Gita Shlokam. So he says, you don't have food to eat, but I have created abundant crop. But then he didn't even take a single grain. Vithala is telling Avali, that's not my fault, right? I have provided everything to him, but he is not ready to eat anything. Of course, Vithala feels Tukaram feels more pleasure in Bhagwan's name itself. The name of Bhagwan itself is so much taste. So he says, Avali thinks, okay, I am getting very late and my husband is sitting somewhere. I have to reach. What am I supposed to do? So somehow they both come up together and basically Avali starts climbing. Though her foot is fully with thorn, he basically removes it and everything, and then they both climb together and Pandarinath or Vittal comes behind walking with her. When Tukaram sees actually both of them, he is so overjoyed because he knows that his wife is always cursing and is not happy, and he sees and he thinks to his mind, oh, these both enemies are together and finally they are together. He is so happy in his heart that actually he just comes and he immediately touches Lord Krishna's feet, and then of course they all three sit down together. So obviously, naturally, Tukaram breaks and says to Avali that please offer food to Lord Krishna. Now she felt shame. They had very less food. There was only one roti or one chapati to give. And actually, so she looks at Vithala and says, what this black boy says, so much calamity has brought, everything has happened. And then finally she says, she gives that one roti to Lord Krishna. She didn't save anything for herself or for Tukaram. That shows just how devoted she is. That's why he says, right? I mean, this is not to compare of Ravana or Kamsa like this. That's a different kind of enemy. It's not enmity what we see materially. So, the moment, as we say, many pastimes where Draupadi, Krishna, and where there was nothing in the pot, Durvasa Muni came. Immediately, Lord Krishna, when he is offered, he creates every kind of foodstuffs into the basket, actually speaking, and it's covered with a cloth. And even though Avali was not fully in lot of love for Krishna, he accepted her service, actually. Why? Because it is said now, this is why we say that by Guru or Acharya, Tukaram was there. That is the reason. She was fortunate to have him as her husband, and Tukaram was a great Bhagavata. So that is why Krishna accepted. Not that, of course, we shouldn't say she was an ordinary person, because to get darshan to Bhagavan like this is not normal. So obviously Lord Vittala says, okay, serve all this food to Tukaram's plate also. And then Avali is also a little embarrassed. He says, she says that so much, they are the family deity, they pray. In India also people pray to some Adi Devatas or Devatas. And there they pray to Khandoba or Bhavani. So she says, our family deity has come to protect me and preserved my reputation, she thinks. Lord Krishna completely knows in what is happening in his mind. He says, Avali's mind saying, I am the one who created in front of all of this and still you are praying there. So he still knows it, but Avali couldn't tell what he was actually, the reality is in front of her. So obviously, the same thing then what happened is, because the foot was pierced, right, and that water broke, then obviously they were thirsty. So then actually Vittal says that to Avali that, okay, there is a stone there. You move this stone, and you will find a spring of water, actually. So Avali didn't believe Lord Krishna yet. When she moved the stone, she saw pure spring of water actually coming. And she said, in this waterless mountain, because that Bhandari mountain is actually a very, very kind of very dry, arid place. There is no spring or river like this. So when she sees that, now she realized he created food in front of me, but no one, only he could have only done this, right? So that's how it is. However, so finally, they all get satisfied, and they tasted the divine food and the love and the bliss together, right? And Krishna and Tukaram and Avali, they dined together, washed their hands and mouth. And then Lord Vittal says to Tukaram, there is no need for you to come every day to this mountain. Okay, it is very tiring for your wife. Lord Vittal says this to Tukaram. Then hearing this, Tukaram falls at Lord Krishna's feet. He says, I don't know any mantras, I don't perform any austerities, nor have spiritual knowledge. I am lowly. All I know is to sing your glories and kirtana. But Bhagavan says you have already proved that to be true. So hearing such humble prayers, actually Lord Krishna lifts him with his arms and he embraces him actually. And he says that, that's why I said that a loving mother always keeps her infant under protection. Just like that, so that is her nature. The same way he embraced Tukaram. That is a love which actually Vitthal has for Tukaram actually. So we can see that, and he says that wherever, and he blesses Tukaram, saying that wherever and whenever you are dancing in Kirtana, chanting my holy name, I as Krishna will always be present. And then taking leave, Krishna vanishes actually. So this conversation is very beautiful because all the devatas from top are observing this, and they are saying, so fortunate that he's such a courageous Vaishnava, not a normal Vaishnava, courageous Vaishnava actually. A Vaishnava is very, a true mark of a Vaishnava is actually showing courage. And the courage is not in a material sense. Arjuna was also very courageous, but for Krishna, right? Prabhupada was also very courageous to come at that age. Many other acharyas, we can quote different instances. Prahlada was very courageous at a young age. Why that courage comes is because of surrender to Bhagavan. That he will always protect me. That is where the courage comes from. And the courage is just that same example where the lion cub doesn't bother. The mother will always lift it and take it. It doesn't need to worry about holding its mother. So that is the surrender of what a devotee should have. So obviously they say that blessed. So obviously the residents of the heaven, devatas, they say blessed is this Bhandara mountain where Lord Krishna's feet was touched. Blessed is a town where the pure devotees. That's why Pandharpur is supposed to be one of the very pious place, because just like in Vrindavana, Krishna was there and he walked there and he came, and that's the reason. So we can see that how we say that the virtuous fame of Bhagavan's devotee is glorified. And also we can see that, for those, as Bhagavan says, Tesham Jnani Yuktatma Eka Bhaktir Vishishyate. So we can see that always Bhagavan resides in their, his devotees' thoughts, and they are in me. So this is the aspect of surrender to Bhagavan Krishna. So we should take an example from this, that virtuousness of devotee and courageousness always comes from surrender to Bhagavan and his glories. So I will end today's class. Any thoughts, comments, or questions? So.
First of all, very, very thank you very much
Okay.
to you, because you connected very well, and Lord accept only glorification from the devotee, because Lord says like become my instrument, like that. I just similarly I wanted to connect like Srila Prabhupada, how he's saying that I do not know any Veda, I do not know any Shastra, but my name is Bhakti Vedanta. Just make me successful, Krishna.
Right.
आनी আছে যদি প্রভু আমারে না চাতে নাচাও না চাও প্রভু নাচাও সে মাথে কাষ্টের আপু তলে যাতা আমারা না চাতে নাচাও না চাও প্রভু নাচাও সে মাথে भक्ति नहीं वेद नहीं नामे खूब धरो भक्ति वेदांत नाम सार्थक करो मीन्स if Srila Prabhupada do not know any Shastra, Srila Prabhupada do not know any devotional service, then who know? Do we know that? So being humble, that's the ornament of a devotee. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that like Lord Vittal is saying, as you mentioned, like I do not know anything, just like
Yeah, Tukaram says.
Tukaram, sorry. So he's saying that. So in that way, and one another, I try to remember like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how he is manifesting with Brahmana's son. Right. Brahmana was offering daily and all, So he, as a bhoga, he was daily offering. He became 50 years, 60 years old. Then he told one day, to the son, you offer that to the Lord. When Lord will accept your prasadam, I will come afternoon and then we'll honor the prasadam. So the son offered the bhoga to the Lord and he's saying that, yeah, Lord, eat that, my father will come. If you don't eat, my father will beat me. So he started crying. Right. If you don't eat, my father will come and he will beat me. Right. Please eat, please eat, please. If you don't eat, then I will be punished. Lord become very, very, like what to do, what not to do. Right. So Lord is very, very compassionate. He showed the mercy to the son and he eat that. And Lord eat that bhoga. After eating that, then his father came. Where is the prasadam? Let's go and honor. He's saying that you told to offer to the Lord. I offer to the Lord. Lord is eat that prasad. You are naughty. You are naughty. You finished all the prasadam. You are saying that Lord eat that prasadam. I am offering from last 60 years. Lord never eat.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's devotee, Lord, sometime empowers and sometime manifest in that way. So very, very good. Nice class. Hare Krishna.
Yes, yeah, very nice class. Thank you so much, Prabhu. I was appreciating the point you were making about how, we can see somebody on the screen of a phone, but it's not the same as seeing them in person. And I was making the connection because, Krishna says, right, he's fully present in his name, he's fully present in the deity form, he's there.
Right.
And then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about how, the Lord is equal to everybody, just like the sun shines everywhere. But the point is it's not due to the sun, but to the receptive power.
Correct.
And so I was thinking in the same way, it's due to our receptive power, to our consciousness, right? That, of course, if, Krishna appeared as he, and started walking in the temple room, that would be we would receive that in a different way. It would transform our consciousness, and so we would see him that way. But really, he's right here.
Right.
And when we say his name, he's right there. And just that point of that receptive power, I felt like it was such a nice point in the purport. I just wanted to make that connection.
No, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Wonderful class. Wonderful pastimes of devotees also. Thank you.
No, actually, there's a lot more in that same pastime. Actually, I've cut it short where actually Avali talks about, relation to Sabari and, all the different, because Sabari also offered like that only. So, but, just in interest of time, right, to talk of Sabari, I don't want to condense it, but it's a very wonderful thing because, as we said, right, that Bhagwan accepts true love as what you all have said, and that's what is seen. But really to see that how her wife, Tukaram's wife is, that's why we should think, that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has, as you said, humility, has stressed so much about Tranada Pisunichena. And that's very important, right? But Tukaram is magnanimous, so that's why I said this shlokam, this verse just pointed out to his pastime. So any other thoughts or comments? Okay. 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 Think we are good for today. So Vrindraj Srimad Bhagavat. Sorry, is it?
No, no. Is anybody else
No. Okay. Okay. All right. Vrindraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.